Soul Group, what's going on, everybody? What's going on? Tai Chi 360, back at you again, coming around like a hula hoop. Now, would I call you Rasul El Bey or Brother Rasul El Bey?
Brother Rasul El Bey is just fine.
Right on, right on.
Yes,
so I'm here with Brother Rasul El Bey. And Brother Rasul El Bey here happens to be a Taino mystic, is that right?
Yes, sir. Taino Mystic.
Taino mystic.
Yes. They are traditionally related to the Arawak and the Andean indigenous people.
Gotcha.
Yes.
And so I know that you are very dedicated, devoted, I would even say, to developing your body into, I guess I would say, a prime energetic container.
Yes, sir. Yes,
Yeah?
sir. Yes.
So how does that tie into the Taino mystic lineage that you hail from?
Oh, well, the Taino mystic lineage is very connected to the ancient Hebrew people. A lot of this is something that's not usually spoken about, but a lot of indigenous tribes here in the Americas were actually speaking Paleolithic Hebrew. And this was one of the reasons why when Columbus came over here, he was actually able to open trade and speak to the indigenous people here because they were speaking a Paleolithic Hebrew. So connecting, you know, a lot of the traditions that were brought here in this time, yoga was one of them. Yoga can be found on Egyptian hieroglyphs as well as the pyramids of Central America.
Yeah, I'm actually, I'm vaguely familiar with some Hebrew history. I studied a bit last year. And if I'm not mistaken, the Cherokees had the first written language amongst the Native American tribes, and it was eerily reminiscent of Hebrew.
Yes, they are one of them as well. You know, I would even go as far back to mention the Mayans had writing as well. They were definitely.
And was that very Hebrew-like?
Actually, no. This was more hieroglyphic.
Okay.
But the sounds were.
Gotcha. See,
The
I don't
sounds were
actually
very
know
similar.
a whole lot, but what I do know is Hebrew, the Hebrew people are what you would refer to, I suppose, as a night people, right? You know, their Saturday Sabbath, for example, it starts on a Friday night.
Yes, there were definitely a lot of traditions that were being celebrated in the same manners.
Okay, and
Yes.
so does this relate to your Taino ties at all? Are you
Yes.
night people?
Yes, we are. We definitely do practice visuals, which are like all-nighters.
Okay.
Yeah. But you know, I'm also multicultural. So
Right,
yeah.
right.
So a lot of my practices come from the exploration of my inner container.
Gotcha.
Yes.
Gotcha. I guess I'm really interested to kind of figure out how your lineage
Started.
ties into
Okay.
your practice, because I mean,
Yeah.
I'm sure a lot of us know, especially if you're watching this, that you don't have to be born into a special lineage as a
No.
mystic in
Yeah.
order to practice energetic works or develop yourself into the prime energetic container.
Sure. So I'll mention this just to stay within the Aboriginal and indigenous. Viracocha, which was on this side in the Americas, was shown as a blue man.
A blue man.
A blue man. This
Okay.
Is, yes. And he is connected with what we call in Hinduism Vishnu. And they both rode around in the shell, right? So in Hinduism they call it Vimana.
Huh.
And so Varakosha, Vara visceral, is this being. So the Varakosha, kosha is a kocha, is a vehicle to drive in. So a lot of times we'll see the Mayans being depicted inside little spaceships, and then we attribute that to possibly ancient aliens. But there's a symbolism there behind building the rocket ship, which is, or understanding our own machinery. So just to kind of go back into what you were asking, and how is it that my lineage ties in? Well, I'm going to use the word shamanism because it's very plain, and a lot of people know what it is, although it's attributed to specifically the Siberian people, just to be specific.
Okay.
As far as medicine men are concerned. So within my lineage, we don't necessarily share a lot of these things. It's actually a certain individual within the community who is chosen by some kind of a higher force, and it wakes this individual up to become this medicine man, to go through this process. And so when it started happening to me, this is when I became aware of the different lines of shamans that were within my tradition. So I was not necessarily raised as a shaman. I was actually raised as a Christian Baptist.
Gotcha.
So I was actually a youth pastor at one point in my life.
Gotcha. So did you practice developing your energetic container before you knew about your lineage or your ties?
I think that I did things that were very intuitive at the time.
So you accidentally did?
I accidentally was doing things.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
It was a very fortunate thing, because even through the reading of the scriptures within the Bible content, it was speaking to me in a very indigenous way.
Right on. Yeah. Speaking of indigenous ways.
Okay.
Right.
Hello. Hey, how are you, Dr. Desir?
Yeah.
Hey, nice to meet you. Nice to meet you. Hey.
Come on in, mama. Oh. Well, I'm going to give the seat to...
Yes, absolutely. We'll pick up with Brother Rasul El Bey on another day. Yes. Our real special guest has just arrived, Dr. Desir, because we're not all really special guests, apparently.
Yes.
Oh, yeah, you can just clip that probably under your chin is the best.
Okay.
Ollie, please. Now, our good brother Ollie here.
Yes.
Was so excited.
Oh
my. So excited.
Wonderful.
Here,
Wonderful.
Please. So Dr. Desir,
Yes.
my good brother Ollie here is super excited because he heard that you're a Mambo.
Yes.
All right.
No,
That's
I'm
awesome.
fine. I'm good. Thank you. Yes.
Take it away.
So what are some of the things that you do to help people? I do a lot of different things, but I'm always interested in learning something new.
Yes.
I'm open to any and everything because it's helping me to kind of like advance more on a spiritual level.
Sure.
And there's a lot of things I'd like to ask you because I've been asking people the same questions, but they're coming up with different answers. It doesn't seem to actually satisfy me in an extent, because I'm always, like I say, I'm in living color.
Right.
I am.
Right.
I see colors everywhere I go. I see grids of light.
Oh, auras,
Yeah,
portals.
Oh, I do. I can see things like that. I remember getting up early one morning, going to the bathroom, and I saw chi just bouncing all through my bathroom. It looked like chemtrails, okay? But it was just so much energy swirling
Right.
So yeah, I see all of these things, and some of the things I don't understand because of all the colors. People say, well, your third eye is open. I said, well, yeah, I know.
Yes.
I know that much. Sometimes I've had a lime green to lock into my vision. Everything I looked at everywhere I went was lime green. I walk outside, I can see everything, but it's all in a lime green with little silver gold specks.
Yes. So you want to know who I am or answer your question?
Yeah. What kind of information can you help me with? It's like HBO, help a brother out.
Yeah. Well, I'm trying to think of when, in my consciousness I woke up. But, I was raised by a grandmother who did ancestor worship. And so she recognized me as a child with gifts. So I was an elder, I feel, that came back, and she had to train me. So that was my first entry. And then I'm of Haitian descent, and my grandmother did ancestor worship. And so as I became more conscious and, overeducated, I have a doctorate from Harvard University, and the ancestors sent me. The energies sent me to get these paperwork, to continue what we're doing. So what you're talking about, there's some of us that have made agreements to come here, and we still have our memory. So you were a light warrior.
Oh, okay.
Perhaps.
That's,
That's a way to speak of it. And then the lighting gave you opportunities to integrate what you know and use them and go through them. So it's affirmation for you that your memory is still intact. And I also do a lot of chakra work, and I could talk a little bit in terms of how I integrate, spirituality with my Pan-Africanism, with voodoo, which a lot of people vilify, but it's one of the strongest vibrations on the planet. And so in terms of like seeing all this light, you have to ask yourself questions, because sometimes when you ask your higher self questions, she will answer. And so, because when my son was he was 6 or 7 years old, and we were at this dinner, and there was maybe 20 people around the table, and he turned to myself and his father and was like, I see light around everyone. And he said, I think it's called aura. Because he didn't have training in this. He's like, that person, those two people's auras are yellow. Those are blue. And he started telling us what he thought this meant. So when he walks into a space, he checks people out not by what they say or what they do or how they look, what color surrounds them. Yeah. And that gives them information. So you have another language.
Oh, wow.
Color is your language.
Oh, cool.
So you have to, be comfortable with it. Sometimes lime green is Christ consciousness. It's your aura, it's your heart. You're a loving individual.
Yes,
and sometimes people take advantage of that.
Oh boy, have
they. So that is one of your languages, one of your scripts.
Okay. That's awesome.
Wow. He's been looking for an answer to that not quite question.
For a lifetime, really.
Yeah.
How old was your son again?
Well, he was 7, now he's 19.
When he picked up on that skill?
Yes. And what we did was, and I have pictures. My son was 3 months, 6 months old, and he used to sleep like this. Wow. And so I was like, I can't give this kid a religion, what we're gonna do. So when he was 4 years old, we found a meditation center that taught children. So he took meditation classes from 4 to 12. And then we made him go to rural Haiti, country, so that he could be in vibration with nature.
Yeah.
Every summer from 2 to 17, he was in the woods, in the village in Haiti, just absorbing nature. So, so we have to kind of identify, because everyone here, we wouldn't be in this circle if we didn't know each other in another lifetime stream.
Right.
And now in this time frame, we are finding each other, and we're in dialogue and confirmation and affirmation.
Right.
We're being confirmed and we're being affirmed.
Right.
In this vibration time.
That is so cool. I wish people could understand that, because some people call me crazy. I'll be walking around, man, I'm sucking up some chi, walking around, and people are like, what's wrong with him?
Yeah, but it's like, who's crazy?
They are. I think they are. I mean,
Who is of life
But I
and who is
don't-
of death?
I don't pass judgment on anybody.
No,
it's
because-
not for me to do.
Everybody's on their own vibration, right? But there's some of us that choose to live. Like, we just move like we're living. And some of us move like we're ready to die. So we're going to do where everything is scarcity. We don't have enough. We have to be
Right.
all I mean, so like, are we the living dead, or are we the manifestation of life? So I mean, it's how we have to process how we want to be, because we're only responsible for yourself.
Right, exactly. Exactly.
Right.
A lot of times, though, when I meditate, I get into it so much that I don't even know I'm there.
That's the goal.
I mean,
It's supposed to disappear. You,
Yeah.
human, is supposed to disappear
Yes.
and just be Hugh.
yes, become a part of the energy and
Don't-
vibration.
Become a stream in consciousness.
So I've got a question for you, Dr. Desir.
Yes.
You know about Qigong, right?
A little bit, not a lot. A little
Okay.
bit.
Is there a lot in common? Do you work with the earth and the sky, or heaven chi and the human chi?
Well, see, this is what Voodoo is. Voodoo is a science of the elements. So everything is about earth, wind, fire, air.
Yes.
And we have, what we call the lois, the gods and goddesses of the tradition, and they're all vibrations, and they all vibrate with an element.
Okay.
So it's an earth-based understanding. So absolutely. So, you have to be able to be in alignment with the energy of the earth, with the energy of the fire, with the teachers of the air. And these all are principle. What is the principle of earth? One of the strongest principles of ground earth to walk on the floor is abundance. If you want abundance in your life, you have to touch soil. You have to know ground. You have to know your root chakras. You have to know ground. So in terms of that, everything about Voodoo is in the leaves. Every loi, spirit, orisha, principle is a healer. And all their healing has to happen with a combination of all four elements. And there are some, like Shango Ogu, they're just fire. They just, drop some fire, pick up the fire with their hand and heal you. Some are just earth. So they take all the plants that they need and heal. So, it's so complex and simple. Like, it's simple medicine. Simple medicine. It's not a pharmaceutical company.
Right.
No.
Yeah.
It's asking permission of earth to use its elements to heal. We are an element of earth. We forgot that. So if we don't treat the waters right, the earth right, we will begin to be ill. And this is what's happening. And the native people, they told us this very simply. So the indigenous people on this planet, this is what they do. It's about how do we connect with the elements, and how do we recognize that we are an element within the elements, and everything on this
Yes.
planet is divinely in the earthly human form. And we begin, the more we separate ourselves from earth energy, from the element energy, the more we lose ourselves and go into the death world. We're zombies, we're living dead. We're not living. We begin to worship material things. So it's like, okay, I gotta get this gear, that gear. Really? I mean, so what are you eating? Do you know what you're eating? Do you know what you're breathing? Do you know what ground you're on? Do you know what feeds your fire? What education are we giving each other?
I know in some of my practice before and in the past, I've helped a lot of people, and some of them had, well, you're a voodoo man. I say, hey, call me anything you want, just don't call me late for dinner.
Right.
And I don't mind.
Right.
But I've learned a lot about water, since water is impressionable. I've learned how to neutralize it. Just like I neutralize negative energy around my neighborhood for drugs, alcohol, sex trades, things of that nature. And then I let it spread out, not only from my neighborhood, but when I'm doing my meditation, I'm in the universe looking at the earth and seeing this lightly dark shadow.
Right.
And then I get it to spin, and then I break it off and send it in to the universe, and it just disappears. And then I give it love, and it comes back with the white form around the earth.
Right.
And I give it love not only to the earth, but for everyone on the face of the earth.
Absolutely, absolutely. That's what they told us prayer is.
Yeah.
Prayer is not about I'm praying for this because I want this to one divine entity that someone said is the sacred. We pray for the consciousness of love for the earth. So there are certain, even indigenous religions and world religions, they stay grounded on earth. They're praying for stuff on earth. And what you're doing is high level magic, because that's when you've reached a certain level of consciousness, you leave earth to heal earth. And because we have become in a stagnated mind that we forgot that some of us don't only reside here, we reside everywhere, because the Almighty Creator is everywhere. And we are the manifestation, the reflection of the Creator.
Sifu's wife saw me the other day, and the next day he said, my wife said, you're like a kid. I'm like, yeah, I love to play. People says, I go to work. Okay, I go to play. Because that's what I love doing. I call it play. Removing and I also do long distance healing as well. That I love. It's just.
Who are you?
Yeah, baby girl.
Who are you?
Listen, let me enlighten you, my dear.
Hey!
I do long distance healing. I mean, I had one of my lady friends call me, and she said, I just came back from West Palm Beach, and one of my lady friends' throat's messed up. She can't speak, swallow. She goes, what can you do? I said, I tell you what, I'll work on her. And when I'm done, I'll call you. And so I did. About 15, 20 minutes later, I called her and I says, okay, call your friend. So she calls her friend, and her friend is just happy. She can swallow. There's no pain. And so my friend calls me back and she goes, man, you're the magic man. I was like, no, sweetie, I just do what I love. I just remove the negative energy. I also balance the chakras, but I do it in a different breathing technique that people can actually feel, even long distance. They can actually feel that. And I clear their house, their property, I clear the house, I clear them, and I send them love and positive energy, and it's just amazing. A friend of mine says he went to one of his friend's house, and he said the energy there was just off. And he said even his dog was coming up to bite him. I said, oh man, don't worry about it, I'll take care of it. So I worked on him, I removed the energy. Ah, yes, I can feel that. Perfect, yeah. Now I work on him and the family. It changed the attitude of the whole family to including the dog.
Right. Let me ask you a question.
Yes, ma'am.
When you do all of that work, because that takes the intensity of who you are, what do you do afterwards? Do you naturally just go back to your regular self? Or you don't have to?
I let it go.
So it's because you're play. So play. So it's not that serious. It's just play.
I feel the energy just coming through me.
And then
It's
when you're
like,
done, you're done.
When I'm done, I'm done. I put no doubt in my work.
Okay, I'm learning.
I connect to it.
The power of play.
Yes. Just like when I forgot, I need to learn a little more of my geographical location, because when the, which one was that? The hurricane that came in, the one that hit over in the Bahamas. That one's just recently, or sometime last year, but I could feel the wind coming and blowing. So I connected with it. And I was like, okay, we're gonna move.
Right.
And I connected with it, and I just went, I love you, here's to you. And it pushed it, it took it out. But it went over the Bahamas. And I was like, dang, man, I should have actually looked maybe at a globe or something, to find out, okay, here's Florida, and what is over here? Oh, okay. So I should know to pull it to another direction, into the ocean, not in on the land. My bad.
Yeah.
And I apologize to everyone for that. But yeah, I connect with these things.
So
And
you
it's-
also connect with weather.
Yes.
Yeah, in my tradition, there's a energy called Ogu that controls the weather. Agawu, Agawu. Agawu is the one that controls weather or is in alignment with weather.
Like I said, I see colors everywhere. I see auras around people. I can just be going down the road and see colors. I was like, man, this is beautiful. I love this.
So your eyes are a prism.
Yes.
So your eyes are a prism, so that's how you use that energy, and you can focus, you can laser a particular color.
Yes.
I see.
I can change color of smoke
Right.
from red, blues, yellows, green.
Yeah. So that's the power of the chakras. So you see in multicolor. Wow, that's special.
And I've seen as many as 3 and 4 colors at one time. Seen one like a rainbow, but it wasn't in a form. It was just out. The second one I had seen was in a circle, and the inside was the chakra colors. And just like the buzzards, when I see a buzzard fly and I'm looking at him, I see a black aura circle around him. He never flies out of it. It follows him wherever he goes.
It's a beautiful gift. Beautiful gift.
I'm just,
Regular, right?
yes, man. I'm just a mouse in a big pond.
I got you.
I wanted to ask you a question.
Yes.
You mentioned something about like different individuals having, I guess, various skills like fire ability,
Yeah.
earth ability. How do these individuals come about knowing that they have these abilities, or do they just like happen to trip and fall into it? Like,
I mean, I think all of the above.
yeah.
Because, there was a time space where people in your family would teach you things or they'd recognize. There's always one in every generation.
Right.
So you look at your cousins and brothers, you're like, oh, that one. So there's always one in generations. And what's happening now with the younger kids, elders are coming back. So, and like what he was saying, you just are attracted to certain things. Like, you're just attracted to red. You're attracted to fire. You just stare at it. It's sometimes you just have this attraction that you really don't know. Like, you need to be by the water. Like, you got to be by the ocean. You got to be by the water. And that's when you just feel comfortable. That's where you feel comfortable. Right. So people who have, and some people have all of them, they have multiples, but like you begin to recognize that, I had a dream about that and it actually happened. Right. Or, we got to listen to our intuition, right? So, I'm supposed to go right. I'm not listening to the GPS. I'm going to go the other way. Right. And that was the right way. So they have taught us not to listen to that understanding. or to feel like, you know, some people, my favorite color is yellow. Why is your favorite color yellow? Everything is yellow. Is that Oshun? You know, is that Legba? You know, there's all these different energies. Oshun is, you know, she's a water spirit. She's beautiful. She's about abundance. Legba opens passageways for people. And if you know you're the one that, you know, stuff don't go down for you, but you open stuff up for other people. You give the best advice. And it works. And you're like, it doesn't work for me. So you're in a Legba. So you know that's the energy that you are. You're an opener for people, and you just embrace it.
Right.
You know, and some people are a closer.
Yeah.
And some people, you're like, they always financially good. They might not be wealthy, but they're not wanting for anything. And you're like, wow, what's that energy around that person? So, you know, we have to study ourselves and see, you know, what are the things that come natural to us. You know, some people are just natural artists. You know, they're just in that vibration. So it's just seeing, you know, and then you use it. That's the science. Mm-hmm. Once you figure it out, you know, like this high spirit, you begin to use it.
Yes.
Yeah.
So you mentioned something about working with your chakras.
Right.
So do you put a lot of focus on building up your energetic container, much like our good brother Rasul?
Well, you know, the chakra thing is interesting. Yes, the answer to that is yes. Mm-hmm. And you know, I did kind of 18 years of study. Like, you know, when I got accepted to doctoral program at Harvard, I was 25, and I didn't write like them, I didn't look like the, you know, I wasn't the typical student. You know, I came from like a little Haiti area, I was from Mattapan, Mass, and I started looking at the books on me, like what books did they have on Haitians? I found hundreds of books on Haitian spirituality, on Voodoo itself. So I say, if this thing is supposed to be so bad, how come y'all studying me and I'm not studying myself? And you know, in terms of how I got to this chakra, so I started studying myself. Our biggest school is yourself. And so an elder, I mean, man, I don't know, maybe 15 years ago, an elder, I was talking to her, she was in maybe almost 90, and she said, you're gonna be able to read people. And I'm like, yeah, okay, whatever. And then she said, you're gonna use stones. And like, they don't use crystals or stones in my tradition. And so I was like, okay. So she was like, okay, go get a crystal ball and just stare at it. And then so I was like, I ran to Ross. I was like, okay. So I got the bowl. I would stare at it. I don't see nothing. And then it would be like, after weeks, I started seeing things here.
Oh wow.
And then I started seeing things, and then all of a sudden it said, remember the stones. So you know, sometimes you gotta listen. Because you don't know who's talking to you. It may be a galactic being, it may be your earth energy, it may be your ancestor. You don't know. And so, and then you find people that come into your lives to remind you, give you little clues. And so then I was practicing, then I learned about a chakra. A sister taught me about the different crystals. And so I started, like when chakras were blocked, I would test them. So you know, I was using a pendulum and seeing if they were out of alignment. And then Spirit told me if they're out of alignment, put a stone on them. And then I started putting a stone on them. I studied psychology. I was a therapist for kids for a little while. And they like integrate the psychology into it. So then I started saying, okay, so I developed archetypes for the different chakras when they're out of alignment. And then Spirit said, remember that intuition? Now we're going to use it. Just touch the chakra and tell them exactly when was the first time it was out of alignment.
Wow.
And so then I can do that too, where I can just touch someone and say, okay, you know, this happened between age 0 and 7. And I didn't believe it. Like, you know, and then I would do it for my friends. Okay, whatever. Okay, I'm on candid camera. And then people would be like, that's true. That's true. And I'm like, and one time, it was cute. There was this one woman, I touched her, and then I told her, you have a little white dress with ribbons on. This is how your hair looks. This is the shoes you're wearing. And this girl has been sad. And this is what happened, why she was sad. And she said, I have that same picture. She showed me, I have that same picture on my dresser. So again, when I was ready, and this has happened, we have to be slow and steady, like the elder spirits. We have, in my tradition, we have the guns, the grandmothers. And they're slow and steady teachers, and you always win. And so this was like a 6-year thing that it evolved into the fact that now I can touch someone and see where was their first root trauma, and we go back and we heal it.
Yeah.
You know, so we have to be disciplined. We have to be disciplined and decipher what's that bad noise and that good noise.
See, I've been able to do the same thing. When I work on people, my favorite thing, when I'm done with them, I work on their head.
Right.
And their head tells me a lot. I get into the feeling of the pulse and balancing the pulses out. And then I'll put my breath in with theirs, and I'll close my eyes. And it becomes like a movie. I'm watching these people. This one lady I was working on quite a few times, quite a few people. But I could see what has happened to them from the time even before they were born up to the age of 5 or 6, if there's any trauma or anything like that.
Yes,
We were doing a work session on this one lady where we deprogram them and reprogram them. Well, there was a part that was locked, and I was like, "Oh man, don't worry about it. I'll get it. Hang on."
got it.
So I did, and I was breathing in with this lady, and it went to where she was like 5 years old.
Right.
She was in the back of a car. They had just gotten done visiting her grandparents.
And you saw the whole movie.
I saw the whole thing. She's sitting in the back of the car looking out the window. Well, Mom and Dad was first, crossed a railroad track.
Right.
Grandma and Grandpa came, and a train hit them. She saw that, and I told her, and she goes, "No." I was like, "Okay." 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, it resurfaced. Boom. And she remembered, and she started crying. So I just reached down and grabbed her and held and said, "Hey, I love you."
Yeah.
Let it out, because that's what you're doing. You remembered, your cells had locked that memory in where your mind has forgotten about it.
Right. And you need to release it to
Yes.
just move forward in a sense.
Yes.
Okay, so you got a Lamborghini, you got mansions. See, we don't do this work for
I
that.
got it right here, baby.
And then
All of
people
my
don't
mansion is right
understand,
here.
this is because it shifts the energy.
It
When
is.
You start to do it, if you think you're going to be doing this for wealth. We want abundance. Abundance is ours. On this earth, everyone should have abundance.
Yeah, I agree, yes.
But if your focus is, I'm going to do this for abundance, we have mega McDonald churches. We get into this, and they could be indigenous religions as well. Like, we get into this mega understanding, and we have to come from a consciousness of love. Your stuff is so big and happens so quickly because it's love. It comes from a consciousness of love, and that is the greatest weapon, tool, equipment on this planet.
It is. It is. It's very powerful. Very powerful. I just love what I'm doing. I'm learning more about myself and connecting in with it.
We're students.
When I meditate, everywhere I look, I see grids, like here. I see grids of light, rods, but they're in a grid form. I see it everywhere.
Speaking of students, good brother Ali, didn't you say something about you were going to ask Dr. Desir if she was taking on students?
Yes.
It's a funny thing because I'm a student that takes on teachers. So the people that I commune with, it was ordained. We have exchange of knowledge. So the work I'm doing now, because of all the heaviness that's happening, I'm doing indigenous psychology.
May I for a moment?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Ooh, man,
I can get it hotter than this. I can actually burn you. You think this is hot, this is nothing. This is just fun. Okay? Now watch, I'm gonna fire her up.
Oh, wow. Well, this is good because this knee needs healing. So you
Okay.
you can fix this
I
knee.
did my own.
I
I'll
tried
show
to
you.
work out this morning. I was like, okay.
You didn't even have to tell him. He was already
That's what
doing
I was
it.
just like, ooh,
Uh-huh.
right on point. Exactly, sir. Yes, sir.
He knows what he
Yes,
knows what he
sir.
knows.
Thank you, sir. The knee needed. We thank
You
you.
can do this yourself. I did that to mine. Matter of fact, I heard it Thursday, and it's pushing the chi to the point of where the pain is. And a lot of times, simple things like
That just heals it.
that,
Moves
just the
it.
tapping moves it. Yeah,
Moves it around.
yeah,
Okay. And
Little
I can do it
simple
for
thing.
myself.
yeah. You can
But
do that.
I'm
to
gonna
yourself.
tell you, I'm gonna use that head exercise though. I'm gonna practice that one. But the one you told me where you held the head and you got all that information.
Yes,
I'm gonna use that
especially
one.
through
I'm
the
gonna
back,
use it. I'm gonna
through
use
the
it.
neck.
No.
Feel the first. You'll feel movement.
Right.
Okay. I do like a 1-4 breathing, which is 1 breath in, 4 seconds out. And sometimes I get it going more.
Okay.
And that moves the skull.
Yes.
Once it shifts and stops,
Right.
I go deeper. I
Nice.
get into the pulse.
Right.
Once the pulse has settled and balanced out, I go to the interstitial fluids.
Right.
And I see all of this.
Beautiful.
I've
beautiful.
actually traveled through people's bodies. If I always ask first,
Absolutely. Yes.
For everything I do, I always ask.
Yes. And, in terms of, my brother, I call him Black Hawk. But, in terms of students, absolutely, like we're always learning together. And we have students that we share, and we have teachers that we share, and we have sessions. We're having a session coming up soon. So I think, because
What
once.
is it? How are you doing?
Well, no, the question you asked, we kind of just, since I was like, I want to do something for water. He's like, I was just going to call you and say we need to do something for the elements. And then I kid you not, so then I said, you know what? And I don't know, I'm Voodoo, but the Ifa tradition, for some reason, I said that I was going to pick Ifa elements, and I was telling you about that. And so I'm no joke, I picked the names because I don't know the alignment, but I said, this is the waters, these are the fires, and I kid you not, today I went to the house where we're having it, and an elder there was like, I know about the ceremony you're having. Look at this candle I bought at Walmart for $1.40. It is all the Ifa elements that I picked out and sent to Black Hawk and I said, these are the elements that we're going to be looking at. And I found, I went to 2 Walmarts, bought every one that they had. Because and I'm still vibrating on that right now because, you always supposed to be surprised.
That's true.
Once you are not surprised and complacent, you're dull in spirit world. You have to have things that surprise you. I'm still vibing on that not knowing that tradition, but claiming it as mine with the elements. My brother and I, we are complete alignment. And then Walmart has all 7 of them on a candle for $1.40.
Intuition or what?
Thank you, Walmart. Walmart, your intuition.
And why is Walmart selling that stuff?
Synchronicity for sure. That's amazing. I got a question I have to ask before we leave.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
So this is it. I don't know when we're gonna wrap it up.
Yeah.
Why is there? I know there could be many different reasons, but why do people look at voodoo with such a negative negative vibe? I always
Right.
knew it was something special, but
Right,
I never
right.
had the opportunity to ask someone such as yourself.
Right.
And because I'm always fighting for it, but don't know why I'm fighting.
Right. Because the thing is, the opposite is true. So you think about the absolute opposite vibration that religion exploits.
Right.
And voodoo is the actual opposite, pedagogy of love. And like voodoo within itself, I mean, you know, in Africa, there are traditional belief systems in various parts, right? And so in the West Africa, there was more alignment with voodoo because a lot of the kidnapped Africans came through the West. So when they came, imagine when they landed in the Americas, you know, in particular, Haiti was the first country that they started putting the slaves because they tried to exploit the native people. Right. And then so now they went to Africa and started kidnapping people. And that was a whole business thing. Right. But what happened was they brought them in, they're like, y'all are going to be Catholic. This is what it's going to be. But mind you, there was people of all faiths. People think Christianity was something that was invented in one time space. There was a consciousness of one Christ creator in Africa. So you had those. You had people from East Africa. You had people from West Africa. You had people who were from Islam tradition. You had people who were Congo, you know, Igbo. You had people who were the Amazon women from God. So you had kings, you had queens, you had teachers, you had farmers. So you had all of these eclectic people from one continent that ends up in this one place. And they have to make meaning of this brutality of life. So then they begin to take native traditions where there was some marooned natives, so they came to teach them their medicine. Then you had, you know, people from various African traditions. It was a Pan-African alliance that came in and created one consciousness. And so, I mean, that's the power. And then they had to camouflage some of their things because they had to put some European in there so that, you know, when you saw St. Patrick, we're talking about Dumbalawedo, which is with you, is the highest form of knowledge. And the female version is a rainbow and it's a snake. So they used that. They created their own language. Voodoo is not, to say voodoo is a religion is simplified. It's a system. It's a science. It's a consciousness of existing in a vibration with the earth. You know, so again, you gotta break that down if you want to maintain colonization and a system of oppression. You gotta say the opposite is better than yours. So I mean, that's the basics of it. And then it's who you are and it's in your bloodline. And they don't tell us this. Outside of Africa, South America has the most people of African descent. Right. And we don't know that. So the vibration is really heavy. And we have people who are exhibiting as white that have African consciousness because that's where life began.
My great-great-great-grandfather was fully black.
This is what I'm telling you. And so the line is coming back because the first existence that they found of a bone was a woman of African descent. So we all come from that. So this is why they had, and then the whole pins and needles, the whole like zombie, how they describe it, that was Hollywood that perpetuated that. And then, so with this consciousness of this Pan-African understanding, we even had during the battles, like they had other, like for example, they had the Polish come and fight to help them. Oh my God, how are these kidnapped Africans beating up the biggest military? Because they used your vibration. They used the consciousness other than this human thing. And so what are they, superhumans? Like how can they move and do this? We need to dismantle this process. So the Polish came, and so all of the European countries honor a Black Madonna. And the Polish had their own Black Madonna. And when women were fighting, men were fighting, children were fighting. So they saw these women that were the warriors. We had Amazon women, warriors that actually taught some of the leading males, Desir, how to fight. So they said, these women look like our sacred mothers. We can't do anything. And someone pulled out an image of the Black Madonna and was like, this is Chestakova. And she's a soul. And then they were like, well, what are we going to do? We're not going to fight. So Dessalines said, at this moment, you are black. He didn't say you're Haitian. He said, at this moment, you have put down your weapons. You become black consciousness. And there's 2 towns in Haiti that their history are the Polish people that settled there. And then, and how did they merge that? So we have the Sacred Mother. Our Sacred Mother, one of them is called Ezilidanto. And so they use the Polish Black Madonna image to represent that African understanding. So this is why Voodoo is so powerful, because you had people from multiple traditions, multiple royalty, multiple things that they knew about the land, medicine people, that they didn't discriminate, that they're going to just kidnap people that are just like, whatever. So they created their own language, their own systems, their own spirit wellness systems. And so, but then they gain independence when slavery is happening all over the world. And so you gotta kill that right away. So they put an embargo on Haiti. You can't trade. They were the wealthiest colony. So they said, okay, like you, big love, we're actually going to help other people. So they went to South America, helped Venezuela, Bolivia. They came to the US. They were making alliances with African Americans. African Americans were coming to Haiti. They said, if you are oppressed anywhere on this planet, come to Haiti. They even wrote Jefferson, you're paying this amount of money for slaves. We're going to pay you this amount of money, twice as much. And we want all the black people to come to Haiti. Wow. They don't want us to know history, not even African American history, Native American history. They don't want us to know this because it's so powerful. So how can you allow something like that to move freely?
I can personally kind of back this up, and it might seem ridiculous, but through my Qigong training, actually, I've learned how much more psychic black people are than pretty much everybody else. Hands down. Just flat out. That's just been my experience.
And that was our survival. We needed to be very deliberate. Everybody has this gift.
Yes.
Everybody on this planet has it.
Thank you.
But specialize in it.
Well, yes, because you have to be so in tune. And don't get me wrong, there's a lot of corruption happening.
Yeah.
There's different entities that want to take over sacred land around the world.
That's true.
And so, and how can you let these people win? They're going to be the example of don't mess with us. And it's a system. So, it's a system and it's a consciousness, and it breaks my heart because there's a lot of things happening. Like they say, is this the poorest nation in the West, or is it the wealthiest conscious nation in the West? Because sometimes the opposite is true. But yes, there's absolute corruption. Yes, there's absolute all this other stuff happening. But for me, Voodoo is a healer. And for me, I was raised in the U.S., it's less a religion, it's a system.
Yeah.
It's a consciousness. It's a way of life.
Well, it sounds to me like Voodoo is a lot about being in touch with your being. And the thing that sticks out to me about, let's just, as somebody who's always believed in magic and energy, I'll just throw it out there clear cut. It seems to me like most of the religion practiced widely in the Western world to date is very much against sexuality, very much against pretty much all of the things that we inherently are as beings of born into flesh or of spirit. Anything to sort of throw a wrench in the gears, so to speak, of our ability to be peacefully. Yes, stumbling blocks before the children of Israel. Yes, thank you very much.
And also, your description of what you just described, it reminds me of anyone who says that they're into the Tao or the way of nature.
Simple,
it reminds me
connected.
of my Tai Chi practice.
Yes. It's the same principle. That's why I think, all of this is one. And this is the, I think, what's getting scary for people. Like, we are becoming one.
Yeah, I feel that too.
We are becoming one. And
I'm scared right now about it.
You know, it's not resources they're afraid of. They're afraid of us becoming one.
Yeah.
Again.
Exactly.
Because we once were.
Because I neutralize negativity and negative entities. I've had to work with that before at a homeless shelter. Yeah, and it's a lot of. When I first went, I had a guy to come to me. He says, I walked up on him. He was from Jamaica, and it was early one morning, and I seen him. He was asleep on the couch, but he was sitting up, and I looked at him, and then I walked out because I could see his eyes. He was in REM. So I walked outside, and I said, okay. A few minutes later, he comes outside and says, something told me to seek your help. Wow. I said, I know. You want me to help you? He goes, yeah. I said, okay. So I did it one time, and it took out the entities, but there was something missing. A few days later, it came back, and I said, look, I need your help. In order for me to do this, I'll go and do my thing, but I need two people. I need you and another guy at the other end to open the doors, to let it out. I did my little thing. I walked in. Oh, man, it's cold. Okay, walked back out. Said, come on, let's go. You got to go home. You know, get out. Because once these entities enter into our world, we're the ones that can control it, not them. We control them. And I learned how to do that. So we held the doors open for like 20, 30 minutes. I walked back in, and it was freezing on the inside because they had the air, but the air had changed from a cold to a warmth. It was warm inside, and I said, it's done. My job is done.
Wow.
Yeah, I love that.
You play. This is his play. I love it.
Yeah, I play. I get excited. I'm like a kid, you know.
I'd love you to tell him about the mantra we worked on, geometric sequence.
See?
If we have time.
Oh, please, go for it.
Yeah, please.
Yeah, I want you to chime in. So, I was talking to my brother. I was like, because we need healing. Like the world needs healing, and even someone that studies psychology, that's so limited. They're so limited, right?
Yeah.
So we have to expand the vibration of healing. So I was like, okay, brother, I need some tools. I need some science. You got to give me some science that I could use every day. And at first he said, okay, I need you to look through and see. You're gonna see some images on this, and I'm like, yeah, okay. So I'm like, okay.
Okay, I'm here. I'm doing the thing. Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, the images they started coming.
Nice.
In the stone. And then he was just like, recall them because you're gonna have to explain what they are. So he was taking notes for me. So I'm like, this is what this looks like. This is what this looks like. And it was talking to me. And then he said, they have a sound. I'm like, what you mean they got a sound? He said, they have a sound. What sound are you hearing? And I'm like, oh, I say, help me. He's like, okay, show me this image. Let's see. What's the sound that came up? Then we created sounds for each of them. And then we had a description. Then we started looking them up, and they were actual real things in the universe that we could look up to see the meaning.
Actual alchemical symbols that she was downloading without
knowing. That's why you have to be a student.
Yes.
And then so we have that. So we had several of them, and then it's as if the sounds were mine. So I was saying the sounds over and over naturally. My memory was remember. Sometimes we have to remember all of our elements. We got to remember. Yes. And then so every morning, every night I say these sounds to soothe. I position them in different parts of my body. And then so I was just like, I'm like, okay, brother, so how am I gonna remember all of these? I wrote it in my notebook. He's like, I got you. And so he took all of the symbols and created what in my religion we call it veve, a sigil, a veve, a portal.
Right, yeah. Okay,
And so he's a mystic, right? So he's also a trained hieroglyphic, geometric master teacher. I mean, I don't know where he gets that calling because he has several. But so, I mean, I don't know if he went right into the pyramid and like they sat there and designed it. So he created this whole portal. And that's something, and then I was using it like as a meditation tool. And then being a student, I'm like, in my tradition, we have different symbols too for the different lives, but we never use them in this way. We usually use them to open up a space. So if we want the energy of war to come, we will make a geometric, we will make a symbol of what that looks like in our tradition. That's it. But now I'm like, wait a minute, and this is broadcast, but this is what I'm starting to move with, and we've talked about that, is to use them the same way he taught me. So again, the assembly has come together, has reconvened, so that we can merge indigenous and galactic knowing, so that we can have access to all the science.
Sounds about right.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
You got to talk about the portal, though.
And
eventually,
it's
you
a portal.
use the keys.
Yeah.
And it's a portal. It is literally, and then so he knows where I put it. I put it right on my altar, right at the base of my altar. Because sometimes we forget our root. When you do chakra work, a lot of people, their roots are out of alignment because they got to shift, they got to move, they lost their job, they're worried about this. So I put it on the foot of my altar, so that will always be my ground. That portal will always be my foundation. So whatever happens, it doesn't matter. And so I sit on the floor and I stare at it. And I leave. I go home.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
Oh, you walk through this.
I go home.
She steps
All right.
After working the key tones, you're
Okay.
building your spirit body. So this is
You just taught me it.
Have-
What do you call sigils?
Well, I know some traditions call it sigil. My tradition, we call it veve. I don't know what you call it that you created for me.
Well, you just talked about it.
His is for me
They're
is
seals.
portal.
I actually already knew about sigils.
Have
I
you,
actually,
Have
Go
you
ahead.
ever heard of anybody riding the tail of a dragon?
I haven't. Oh man, teach me.
I've actually
know about that.
they'll come
ridden
take you
the
for a ride.
I've ridden the tail of a dragon through the universe.
See, I told you this guy's a galactic universal. He's beyond Earth. That's okay. I got you.
Yeah, when I do meditations, I do that, and I see the earth. I'm like this, but yet I see things differently.
Let me ask you this: why did you decide to come here? Why did you decide to come to Earth to work,
To learn
to
more.
play?
And yes,
Why did you?
to
why
play,
Earth?
and to make sure that there is love missing in every place you go to.
Okay, I got you.
And to work and to share that wherever I'm at.
Okay.
I did neutralizing the drugs and alcohol
Right.
in my neighborhood and then around the world.
Okay.
And I seen it because I gave it love. And I would say, okay, it's just a matter of time before. And next thing I know, these people that are around my neighborhood that were doing
it's
drugs
love.
or had drug people are now moving. But it's like I didn't do my job. Just because they left means that they left and went somewhere else to do the same thing. And I'm like,
Okay.
God, no problem.
So we still refine.
Neutralize the energy from the drug dealers,
Okay.
from the
So
alcohol.
you came to teach love, to
Yes.
heal, to give back
Take
love.
away that and to give love back to replace that, which is the most strongest
I
feeling
thank you. I thank you, brother.
I love you.
I
You're so
thank you.
awesome.
I thank you for coming back.
I love it. I love my work. I do what I love and love what I do.
Yeah, he teaches me how to be more loving.
Yeah.
I thought that Qigong was going to make me nice. I was wrong.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think, this brother, he does these things out of acts of love.
Yes.
And people come and align with him and like, let me sit with you. I mean, it's an act of love because people don't understand the level of energy and intent
Right, exactly.
that this takes to do. So, I mean, I recommend the people I love to my brother here. We building stuff together, in terms of, and then the stuff we do, people don't even know. Like I'm just gonna send them just because.
Yeah.
Just because.
Yeah. I don't like titles. I'm not a title. Some people say, "Oh, you're a Sifu." I'm no Sifu, man. I'm just a body facilitator. I love what I do, and I do it with love.
Right.
Dr. Desir,
Yes.
are there any things that you do that our people can reach out to you about in regards to? Do you offer any voodoo sessions, any voodoo lessons?
It's funny because I haven't I don't advertise or do these different things, but this young woman did me the voodoo psychologist, which is really cute. But my thing is like, I want people to be able to remember and understand who they are. I mean, I'm doing a lot of work with my brother here where we're convening people together. Like we want to do some wellness work with young people.
Nice.
Wellness work with people who may have had some addiction in their life, who are not understanding. I mean, this whole work that Black Hawk is doing, well, I call them that, but that does with this sigil work or the portal work, to be able to sit with someone and remind them that you have vibrations within you.
Yes.
Let's help you pull out the vibration.
Yes.
And create the sound for you that you can utilize. I think that's one of the greatest gifts. And then to create a visual around it.
Nice.
So this is something that I think people should do. I think folks who want to have that heightened connection should do this exercise. And we work together, and I would come in and say, okay, so let me attune you. So, doing the chakra stuff, and the Vodun tradition, we also learn how to do sacred readings. And that's something. And right now, it's like, so the work right now is collaborative work.
Okay.
And then, because if you have one person, then you have two people, for you. Because what's happening is we have come into what you're saying, people are broken because they don't have people for them. Like you can have people support your work or support, but that someone is deeply for you.
Yeah.
I got you.
And so this is the type of work, and I do a lot of work with young people. Yeah. I do a spiritual summer camp in Haiti. It's a voodoo camp where I break down the principles of Orishas, of the Loas. So I'm doing a summer program, and we have a story that Black Hawk inspired us to write, and now we have a coloring book of the Haitian gods and goddesses.
All right.
So we can begin to understand that we can create things for our community that want to tap into it. And for those of us who are living in this space time in the US, in this community, or even outside, there are some of us that have been chosen to do this work, and we agreed. Right. We agreed to do it.
Yes.
I'll be back again, I'm sure.
There's a song that is in most religions called Amazing Grace. Amazing Grace came from Africa.
Huh.
They were in Accra, I don't know, Accura, or Accra, which was the main port for slavery.
That's right. I was there in January.
And they loaded ships of slaves from there.
Tell them the truth.
There was one guy who had a load of slaves, and finally made it out of the sea into the ocean. Well, the waves, it started having a storm. And the slaves started singing Amazing Grace. With everybody, this is tell you the energy, the vibration. Everybody on that ship was singing Amazing Grace. That energy touched that captain all the way through his soul. And he turns the ship around. He goes back into the sea and he stops at the port and gets people off the ship, goes back to England and helps to free the slaves from that area. Wow. Very awesome, because with that much energy, that much vibration can touch a soul. That's why I'm trying to get ready to teach all the people, because the system is coming together. And like I tell them, I need you. You're my family. I need your help. Because wherever you're at, you can help others. If I teach you, you can touch hundreds. Teach you hundreds. Everybody.
The vibration.
Yes. Yes.
The vibration.
You know what? He's always praying to his spirit doctors, right? That's what you call them?
Yes. I say thank you, Infinite Source. Good morning, Infinite Source Universe. Good morning, Mother Earth. Good morning, my guardian angels. And good morning, my spirit doctors, because I love you, love you, love you.
No, we're healers.
He gets
Yes.
intense about it.
We're healers.
Yeah.
He likes
that was-
it. He has
Yeah.
parties by himself.
Yeah.
It's necessary.
Man, I get to where I get to bouncing, man.
Yeah, he's doing it right now.
I know.
You know
We had
that.
one of those this weekend.
I'm like a kid. I'm like a kid. You know, I want
We're
to play.
supposed to be divine children.
Yes.
You know?
Yes.
Yes.
Well, see, I've had things to happen that I haven't ever heard from other people.
Right.
One was I had a lady friend of mine. She was Cherokee, part Cherokee, but she was blonde-headed and blue-eyed, which is a rare type. She comes up to me one day, and we're talking, and she said, "You want to meet God?" And I said, "Yeah." She said, "Well, I would teach you." I said, "Okay." So I learned what she did. I went home and I practiced it. Nothing. Went to bed that night, and I could see energy coming.
Energy, 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 energy.
Yes, it was
Energy.
a light, a bright light,
Right.
a pink light, a blue light, and then silver. It kept coming in like this.
Right, right,
And I
right.
said, okay, I see it. Now, if I open my eyes, will I still see the same thing? And as it came, I opened my eyes and I could see it. And it kept coming. It kept coming right into my third eye. And I was like, man, this is so wild.
You were open. You're open.
And another time, my friend said, you really want a spiritual movement? He says, listen to Dr. Shah, who had this online phone thing. You know, he would call. You would call him and he would accept you and you'd be talking. And he says, I have a guy here that interprets what I'm saying because I speak in unknown tongues. And there were times that he would say, right at the end, I am God. I love you. Okay, so about 10 minutes before it was over with, it came back again, and I was listening to it on the phone, and the guy says, I am God. I love you. I was gone, okay? When I looked and was knowing where I was at, Jesus was holding me in his arms. I was looking at his face. I could see his full beard, his eyes, his teeth. He had a smile on his face. His teeth were aged. They weren't solid white. They were perfect shape, but they had age on them. And he just held me and looked at me and smiled. Never said a word. Just smiled at me.
Got you, got you.
And then when I came back, I was like, wow. And when it was over with, I cried like a baby because I've never felt that kind of love
Well,
that peace.
This is what is in your heart. The heart chakra's Christ consciousness. When you have reached that, they don't explain to us the fullness of what Christ is. Christ is a consciousness, and it's a consciousness of love.
Yes.
So you can't be in a system where you're judging people and saying that you're supporting a consciousness of Jesus, because Jesus was a consciousness. It's a consciousness of love. And we all want to have Christ's consciousness. The intensity of what love feels like will make you shake.
It will. See, I've learned the hard way, and I've listened to people. But I also ask them too, okay, what kind of drugs are you on? What kind of medication? Because when all of this was happening, all of my training, I didn't do drugs. I did herbs. I've been doing herbs since I was a kid. So my dad taught me, and I got into it. And I was like, how can I reach that point when other people can't? So I reflected back on the years. And all the years, I can always see herbs. I'd carry them with me in a little pouch, man. I'd be going down, driving a road or something. My friend told me I'd be dead 3 days before I realized I was dead, okay? From all the herbs and everything that I've done.
Natural.
Yeah, but then it dawned on me why they couldn't do that. It's because the medication impedes that ability that they have by toxing the body. If you're having diarrhea, blurred vision, your tongue is swelling, okay, and you're dizzy, how can you connect to the source? How can you be pure enough to connect to the source? And that dawned on me was, look here, crazy ass, you've done herbs all of these times. You haven't done these drugs. You haven't pumped all this crap into your system. That's what made the difference. So, again, there's other work that I got to do, which is easy, because I can neutralize all the drugs of different kinds.
Right.
So you mentioned your course in Haiti. I hate to
Sorry,
take it away from
brother,
you,
that's
Ollie,
quite
but we're
all
wrapping
right.
her up.
I know.
We are
I love
wrapping
this
her
lady
up.
already. Man. She's awesome.
I love you too, brother.
Yeah, so you're doing a course in Haiti. You do that every single year, huh?
Yeah, I created a Voodoo spiritual camp in Haiti with my Voodoo community. So we do a summer program.
Do you do online stuff?
I haven't yet, but
we can
do some.
That's a great answer. Okay,
Yes,
so it's all coming together, right.
yes.
It's scary how it's
So I
coming together
think
again.
I think we have the platform to start doing some teachings online.
Nice.
And I do readings online. We do work online in terms of getting people in touch.
How do people contact you? How are people get in touch with you if they want something from you?
Yes. Well, I have a website that talks more about the work that I do with kids, but that's a way to it's called the Empowerment Network Global.
Okay, and that's how they contact you?
Yes, 10 Global. And I do have a website, charlenedesir.com.
Gotcha.
So they could send messages.
And how do you spell that?
My name is Charlene, and my last name is DES as in Sam IR.
All right, CharleneDesir.com.
Yes.
You guys heard it here. And Brother Rasul, you guys work together pretty closely.
Yes.
This is my mama.
Mama Abigail.
This is Mama Abigail.
Mama Abigail. Sacred Mother, I receive it.
All
We're
right.
doing some classes with Brother Rasul El Bay rather soon, and hopefully we can all link up. I'm sure I would benefit greatly from your
We all will.
elements class.
You got crazy one over here, baby girl.
He was the one that was asking about it before we were all into it.
I know. Man, I'm like, let me suck this knowledge up and then use my imagination.
Before we all get out of here, if any of you guys want to get in contact with Dr. Desir about anything, go to her website, charlenedesir.com. If you guys want to get in contact with Brother Rasul, he's a Yogi Mystic. I'm actually personally going to be building up my energetic container with him.
He's a Tai Chi 360 person.
Oh,
as well.
he does Tai Chi 360. That's true. So definitely get in contact with us here at Tai Chi 360 because he likes to do things a little bit more on the underground side of things. If you want to get in contact with Brother Rasul El Bey. You guys already know what time it is. Peace, peace.
You guys are awesome!
Ay, bobo.
I think it's talking to you.
All right. Oh my
Thank you for being
gosh.
here, everybody.
It
Thank you,
is.
thank you
Peace,
so much.
peace.